Hey BC, it's me, Carl. I just wanted to come in and shoot a quick video to kind of show some records that I picked up recently and just kind of talk about them. So yeah, let's just start off here. I picked up Ryan Adams' Prisoner. This was a trade-in at a record store. Yeah, I didn't pick this up originally when it came out. Kind of always wanted to grab it. It's a really great album from Ryan Adams. Got some fantastic songs. Do you still love me? Prisoner. To be without you. Fantastic songs. Great album. Yeah, kind of has like a Bruce Springsteen sound on here. He also put out this kind of came out around the same time as he did the Taylor Swift 1989 cover album where he covered the whole album, which is fantastic. I highly recommend that as well. But yeah, really great album. Ryan Adams' Prisoner. Happy to finally get that. I also picked up here the Grateful Dead's American Beauty. This is a recent reissue that came out. They kind of did two different pressings of it. One is a Target exclusive, and then there's another one which is just on I think it's similar colored vinyl. They call it like lemonade colored vinyl. One's pressed at Memphis Record Pressing, which is the Target exclusive, and then the one that isn't the Target exclusive, which is the one that I have, is pressed at GZ Vinyl in Czech Republic, or Czechia, I think it's called now. But on everything it still says made in Czech Republic. But yeah, my pressing's fine, plays quiet, really nice. In 2011 they did a fantastic reissue series where they recut Chris Bellman recut all the Grateful Dead albums from analog tape, pressed at RTI. It was a fantastic reissue series. I got a couple of the albums, but I didn't get all of them, and this was one that I was missing. I'm sure that it's obviously not pressed at RTI, and I'm pretty sure that it's probably cut from like a digital master, probably from some recent remaster that they did. But it is still cut by Chris Bellman, who cuts all of the Grateful Dead stuff, and I put this on the turntable and it sounded great. So really happy to have this in the collection. Fantastic album. Another thing I'm really happy to add to the collection is Love's Forever Changes. This is the 50th anniversary box set. Really happy to add this. Comes with, in the back here, you get the album in 24-bit 192 kilohertz or whatever, on the DVD back here. You also get the album in stereo, which was remastered by the original mastering engineer for this box set. It sounds great. And you get the mono, which was also remastered on CD here. And of course the mono for this album is a fold down, but it still sounds great. And if you don't know what a fold down is, there was like a brief period where they would not mix the album in mono. They would mix it just in stereo, and then they would basically put it through this processor which would fold down the album into a mono mix, so that it didn't cause problems when people were playing it with mono stereo systems. Because if the mono stereo systems played the stereo record, it would cause problems. So yeah, there was like, yeah, anyway, they would do the mono fold down, but it caused problems and didn't sound that great. But I don't know what they did, but this sounds pretty good even though it is a fold down. You get two CDs down here. One is like an alternative version of the album, which is great. I think that might be exclusive to this box set. And this CD is singles and outtakes, which I think was included on previous anniversary reissues of the album, but it's here as well. Fantastic box set. I think this is still pretty widely available, although it came out in like 2017 or 2018. It is numbered to 15,000. Fantastic. One problem I have with this box set though, and it was the reason why I bought the box set, is the album is just kind of stored in this booklet. And if you look online, a lot of people complained about it, that it did the way the box set is designed, with the way they put the album into it. It's just kind of like in a page in the book, and it caused warping issues with the records, and my record is a little bit warped, but it's nothing too severe. Plays fine on my turntable, but I'm probably gonna store it in with the mono, because Rhino did, I think for like Rocktober or something, they put the mono out on vinyl, which is on the CD and the box set. I think they did that like a couple years ago after this box set came out. And yeah, it's great. The reason why I bought this is because this is the stereo remaster, and it was cut by Bernie Grundman. And although they did put out the mono mix on vinyl, like I said, a couple years ago for like Rocktober or something, they have not issued the stereo cut by Bernie Grundman, and this is the only way to get it still, is in this box set. So that's kind of why I got it, was for this. And I'll probably shove this in the back of the mono and probably keep them together and then keep the box set separate. But yeah, really happy to have this. The record sounds great, so really happy to add that to the collection. Hopefully they'll just reissue the stereo mix remastered by Bernie Grundman separately. Picked up here now. I like jazz. I know like some of the big players. I know jazz is really big in the VC right now, but I'm not like an expert on it. So I kind of have like a jazz guide, a jazz guru, and I'll ask him once in a while, like, hey, what's something like I should pick up? And this was one that he recommended to me last time, and that is Working with the Miles Davis Quintet. Yeah, this is really great. Really enjoyed this. Fantastic playing. I mean, you really have the best players on here. Like, does it get better than this? Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Red Garland on piano, Paul Chambers on bass, and Philly Joe Jones on drums. Like, so of course it's going to be great. The OJC, this is my first one that I've kind of picked up, put out by Kraft. Sounds fantastic. So yeah, really happy to add this to the collection, and it was a very good recommendation. Next one I picked up here was the Idle Race compilation, and it's called Schizophrenic Psychedelia. This was put out by Run Out Groove, again, a few years ago. This was on clearance at a record store that I like to go to in Edmonton called Blackbird Music. I was there for work recently. They bring in a lot of new vinyl, and a lot of times like it just sits, like it's not stuff that people are that into, or it's pretty niche stuff, but it's great because they kind of clear it out, and you can go through their clearance stuff and kind of get this stuff really discounted. And that's what I was able to do with this. So I picked up the Idle Race. Really fantastic band. Obviously Jeff Lynne came into this as like a very young guy, kind of really didn't have like a huge background. He was really an unknown, had only like, I think, done stuff in his room by himself kind of at this point, hadn't really been in a band or anything before. He got brought in here to kind of like run the show with this band, and yeah, really fantastic stuff. Really interesting pop, kind of different, really different stuff. I really highly recommend checking out Morning Sunshine on here. Here We Go Around the Lemon Tree, which is a cover of the song by The Move, which Jeff Lynne would later go on to join, and then ELO. Imposters of Life's Magazine. In the Summertime. Yeah. Really, really great stuff. So I highly recommend the Idle Race. They never really had a hit. They never really kind of became big, although they had quite a following. The Beatles were supposedly really big fans of these guys. Obviously, Jeff Lynne would be pretty chummy with those guys later on, but yeah, fantastic. I also picked up Big Wreck's But for the Sun. Big Wreck is a Canadian band. This album came out a few years ago. Ian Thornley is kind of the guy the big name in the band. These guys came and played when I was deployed with the Air Force back a few years ago. Really great band. They recently remastered and reissued this album, so that has a little bit of a different cover. If you have the remaster, they weren't happy with the mastering of the album. Their original was kind of like mastered really compressed and kind of, I think, distorted in spots, but actually this is the original mastering, but when it was mastered for vinyl, they did a really great job with it, and it sounds fantastic. And that's the way a lot of times it is for vinyl, right? Because vinyl needs its own mastering job, and a lot of times a lot of the attention is kind of put into the CD, and the mastering engineer, when he's cutting the vinyl, can just kind of focus on making the record sound good. He doesn't have to worry about all the politics into it. He just kind of makes it sound good. So yeah, and this sounds great. Recently I was listening to a interview with the MC5's Wayne Kramer, and so I was like, man, like I had some MC5 tracks in some of my Spotify playlists and stuff like that, but I didn't own any of the albums. Originals can be tough to find and expensive, and so yeah, I was able to pick out, they put out this box set, Rhino put out this box set. They reissued the albums kind of at various points over the years, but they repressed all the albums on colored vinyl and kind of compiled them into this box set for the 50th anniversary of the band. That's the box there, and it comes with 3 albums. You get Kick Out the Jams, which of course is their first album, which was recorded live. You get Back in the USA, which is a fantastic album, and my favorite, High Time, really fantastic record. I have a friend that has an original of Back in the USA, but I mean, you don't come across, I think I've seen originals of Kick Out the Jams a few times, but I don't think I've ever seen an original of High Time. It's just so difficult to find. All these reissues sound great, so really happy to add these to my collection. Miss X on this one, and Over and Over, great songs, great band. Next one I was able to pick up here. If you don't know, there's a Canadian band. If you're from Canada, you know, because it gets played on Canadian radio all the time. They had a lot of big hits. The big one was New Girl Now. That's Honeymoon Suite. This is their first album. Stay in the Light, Wave Babies, Burning in Love, like so many big hits from these guys. I don't know how big they were in the US, but in Canada, these songs are on the radio all the time. Great band, great songwriting, kind of like poppy, but like a little bit on the heavier side. They kind of played that right balance. Anyway, they're still putting out new music, and they put out some really great albums over the last 20 years, I would say. And this one came out originally in 2009, and that's Clifton Hill. It was the one album that I was having a really difficult time putting into the collection. A lot of the recent stuff, and I was trying to find it on CD, and people wanted a lot of money for it. And then finally, you know, I found somebody that was selling it in Canada, so the shipping wasn't too bad, and they had it at a reasonable price. So I picked up the original 2009 CD, and as soon as I found the CD, the band announced that they were reissuing the album on CD, and they were going to do a limited vinyl release. I don't know, there's 2 kind of press releases. One said there's 150 vinyl copies, one said 250. So I don't know, maybe they were doing 150 and then they kept 100 back, kind of like to give out or hold back in case there were, like, you know, problems with the record. They did come signed by 2 members of the band, Johnny D and Derry Greenhan. I purchased 2 of these, one for my dad, who is also a big fan. and one for myself. One of the albums came signed by both guys. One came just signed by one. So I'm sure I'll end up at a concert or something. These guys still tour, still play locally around here. They put on a great show, and I'm sure I'll be able to get it signed at some point. But yeah, I gave the one that came signed by both to my dad as the gift, obviously. It does come with the CD inside the cover here, which is cool. And then they did release it pressed on cool like colored vinyl. It's like a fireball. I've never seen anything like that. So that was really cool. The album sounds great. They remastered it for this release. So yeah, really happy with this. Sounds great. Really happy to have this in the collection. I picked up Sloan's Twice Removed. They've kind of been reissuing the Sloan albums. This is a fantastic power pop album put out by the Canadian band Sloan. Basically, this is their second album. The band, I think they put this out by themselves. Basically, they were on Geffen Records. Their first album is on Geffen. I only have that one on CD. And it's like it's a shoegaze album. And of course, like, you know, lots of effects and distortion and stuff like that. And then they came back in with this album and they handed this over to the label, and the label was like, we're not doing this. We don't like this. What's this clean sound? Poppy? We don't want this. Like, go back, re-record these songs with like some distortion on them and stuff and bring us back. But the band was not into that. They were like, no, this is the way we want this album to sound. We're happy with the album. And so they were able to, I think they like, I don't know, but they were able to like basically self put this out. Like, so they saved money, got money together, whatever, and they were able to self-release this album. A lot of Sloan fans, this is their favorite album. Me personally, I don't know if this one's my favorite, but I mean, it's up there. It's a great, great, great album. I highly recommend this. Happy to have it on vinyl. I've had the CD for a long time, but happy to have it on vinyl. Kind of just a few record store day releases that I just kind of didn't pick up and able to get them. They're sitting around in record shops now and kind of able to add them to the collection. They're on a deal or whatever. The first one is Frank Zappa's You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore sampler. This is really great. A lot of great performances on here by Zappa. Highly, highly recommend this. This is a fun listen. You get Plastic People, Montana's on here, Nanook Rubs It, Cosmic Debris. A lot of great performances. It's kind of all the performances kind of come from different eras of Zappa's band, kind of different periods. I know some people are into different eras of Zappa, and some people are just into, it's like the Dead, you know, some people are into just specific years, some people like, you know, more than others. But yeah, so I was really happy to add this to the collection. When I was younger, I had the CD of Zappa's strictly commercial compilation, and I really liked that. I listened to it a lot, but I never really got into Zappa because I was kind of already into a bunch of other guys that have really deep vaults, deep catalogs. They're releasing stuff all the time, like the Grateful Dead and Neil Young and stuff like that. And Frank Zappa is another one of those artists that just seems to have an endless vault of good material, unreleased albums. They're always coming out. They just did another one. But yeah, you know, I can't hide it. I've recently started picking up Zappa stuff, and this was a really cool ad. So happy to put that in the collection. I was able to grab the Stooges' first album. This was another record store day release. I think this was compiled by Third Man Records. You get the album. You get the album along with another LP of alternate versions, extended jams, as it says here on the hype sticker. This was a trade-in at my local record store day. At my local record store, I didn't pick it up on record store day, so I was really happy to put this one into the collection. Kind of the baby band to the MC5. Probably ended up being bigger than the MC5, but at the time, they were the baby band. Yeah, really fantastic stuff there. I was in the UK, and I went to the only record store that was kind of around me was an HMV. So I went in there, I'm looking through the records, everything's kind of like really steep prices, and wasn't really interested in kind of common records. So, I was kind of disappointed, but HMV is kind of doing like their own releases, kind of their own club kind of thing. And then some of the, like, they're kind of putting like Obi strips on that kind of like the Vinyl Me Please kind of used to, with the card back and stuff like that. So anyways, I picked up from that Avril Lavigne's Let's Go. This is the 20th anniversary version of the album that they just recently put out. This is Vinyl Me Please. It's on like a red smoke. Great album. I really love. This was such a high point. Avril Lavigne never really hit this again in her career. This album's really great start to finish. There's always those conspiracy theories because this album is so different than kind of the rest of Avril's stuff. This is like a really good, great, like kind of pop, alternative rock type record. Really fantastic. So many great songs. When I was younger, this came out. I kind of knew the hits like Skater Boy and Complicated, but I never really gave the rest of the album a shot. And then I remember one year my sister had an exchange student, and the exchange student stayed in my sister's room, so my sister and I kind of shared like a nanny flat downstairs in the house. So I had like kind of a room on one half and she had a room on the other half, and then there was kind of a hallway that connected the two rooms, and we had a stereo set up in that hallway, and we would play music in the morning. And this was one of the albums that she would always put on, and it is a great album. And I remember like listening to it and just really, I'm like, oh man, every song on here is good back then. So really happy to have this on vinyl. Sounds great. And then 20th anniversary edition, they added a bunch of like demos and stuff that didn't make the album, which a lot of them ended up being big songs for other artists, like Breakaway for Kelly Clarkson didn't even make this record. So it's yeah, fantastic album. Next one I picked up here, again, another Record Store Day release that I didn't pick up and then really kind of wanted. This was a compilation, I think, that came out in the 90s. And then they reissued it and added some more stuff to it, and then they put it out on vinyl for Record Store Day, and that is Scott Walker's Boy Child. Scott Walker, fantastic artist. I think there's some pretty crazy stories about him, known for some weird stuff in the studio, stuff like that. But yeah, really great. Really happy to add this to the collection. And last thing I got here is yeah, Amazon Prime had their Prime Day sale. They had a bunch of big discounts on some really nice box sets. I was like, okay, well, I'll pick out one box set to kind of add to the collection. And the one that I picked, kind of narrowed it down to a few. And then the one that I picked was the Revolver box set from the Beatles. Obviously, it's a really nice box set. It was a little bit pricier than kind of some of the other ones for the 50th anniversary release of some of the other albums that they kind of put out. There's obviously the Giles Martin stereo remix in here, but also they recut the from the analog tape, the mono by Sean McGee at Abbey Road, just like, and I missed when the mono box set kind of came out. I kind of picked albums to fill holes in my collection, albums that I didn't have, rather than just trying to get all the Beatles albums. I was kind of like, oh, so I didn't get a lot of the mono albums back then. I have a few of them, but not all of them, and Revolver was one of the ones I was missing. So I was really happy to get this on vinyl with the mono mix. It also comes with a really nice book, and also the Revolver sessions, just 2 LPs of kind of studio sessions, stuff like that. So yeah, really happy to add this box set to the collection. And that's it for me. So yeah, lots of different stuff there. I think there's some good variety. You know, that's, you know, they're asking a lot of money for records these days, and you know, so like I feel like if they put the time and they put the effort, and you know, they're doing a good job getting proper you know, and they're making the packaging special, and they're, you know, getting the album properly mastered, properly pressed, stuff like that, then I don't mind paying the money to add something special to my collection. But I'm not just gonna like kind of add like a general release of an album to my collection. I feel like now, like for the prices they want, like it's got to be kind of special. And that's kind of the way I look at it. So anyway, I hope everyone is well. Take care. Talk to you later. Bye.